Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to the shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's all good and great and wonderful. Look at this. Remember this? This used to be on the show. Maybe someday I'll attempt to bring the show back. I just don't know how to do it. There was no interest in it the last time, so I don't know how I would do that. But anyway, this is a mess. But actually, after the video yesterday, I went upstairs and I was, the kids were kind of not paying attention to me, and they were doing their thing, and Em was doing her thing, and she said to me, if you want to go work on the shop, I'll come help you. And I was like, really? She said, yeah. So we did, and we came down here and probably spent an hour and a half cleaning. She pretty much manned the shop vac and started going to town on all the dust and dirt, helping me decide what to do with stuff, tear stuff apart. She said, if you want, I talked about the router table, which I had built this router table and it sat underneath the wing of my table saw, and I told her I didn't like it because I used a 1/2-inch plywood top, and the weight of the router had made it sag over time, and it sagged very little, but it sagged enough that if I wanted to get a consistent depth cut, I really had to push down on the piece to keep it, anyway. It was annoying, and I have a Craftsman cast aluminum router table sitting down here that I've just never made a stand for it, and she said, why don't you just tear this one apart, and the next time you need a router, you'll have to use that one, and you'll have to make some way to make, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, so we did that. But I got everything behind you right now, the miter saw station is picked up. It's not clean, it's still dusty and nasty, but we spent a good time, and that kind of illustrates the point. I said yesterday that I wanted to talk today about being available, and that's kind of... her saying, I'll go help you, is kind of the point I want to get at. I got married when I was 24 years old. I found somebody who I really connected with. Had a lot in common and were great friends, and got married. At that time, I was a manager at a car dealership. I was managing a parts department of, I think I had 7 people in my staff. And I was doing okay. Like, financially, I was, doing better than I thought I would be at 24. But I had ambition. And I had ambition for a very long time. And so I constantly strived for more. And at that time, my ambition was the game industry. It was board games. This was 2004 and 2003. And I was putting a whole lot of energy into game designs and trying my best to be a game designer. And my first game wasn't published until 2012. But anyway, the point is, I had ambition. Though I was making okay money and I was working in a job that was fine, I wanted more. I wanted a lot more. And I had a lot of drive. And so... I did a lot of those things with her and spent time with her, but we had our first child the following year, so the fall of the following year. So we were really only, single, or not single, but we were really only newlyweds for like a year, and then we had a kid. And her relationship with the child became they became super attached, and I wasn't involved. And suddenly I had, I don't want to say I didn't have anything to do because obviously I had a wife and a child that I should have taken care of, but I ended up just kind of drifting away and focusing on my ambition. And for the next many, many years, I focused solely on ambition. I focused solely on trying to create the next thing that would make me money. I tried to make a lot of games. I tried various crafty type hobbies. I tried a lot of things to figure out a way to make it, because being a manager at a parks department wasn't my goal in life. And then I went on to become a mechanic, because as a mechanic I could make more money than a parts manager, and I also got to do satisfying mechanical labor, which I really love doing. But I still had ambition. And so what it all ended up leading to was because the family had started and she was so focused on the children, I lost interest in all of that. And I spent a lot of time just ignoring them because I had my own goals that I was striving for. And it meant that I didn't have time for family. And so we did counseling, we did all this stuff, and it comes to find out, yes, I should have spent time with family. And it became a pretty sore point later on in the marriage. And so I corrected. I corrected by just stopping all the. I was also in search and rescue, so I was constantly going out for training or going out on search missions. So I went fishing a lot. I did a whole lot of fishing. Played golf every Sunday. Did search and rescue. I was doing game design in the evenings. I was really pushing myself out because I did not enjoy my home life, and so I was really just like, screw it, I'm going to go do stuff that makes me happy and or that I hope will make me a career someday. And after counseling, I really learned, how much maybe I had damaged my family by not being there for them. And so I overcorrected and I just stopped doing everything. I stopped fishing, I stopped golfing, I stopped search and rescue, I stopped all of my hobbies, and I just stopped. And I sat on a couch and I maybe started playing Minecraft in 2009, 2010, and my kids could participate by watching and encouraging me or whatever. But I just stopped and just sat and decided, I took one night a week. I played poker one night a week, and then when that stopped, I played board games one night a week, and that was it. Everything else, I just sat and waited on them to need me for something. And for many, many years, like for the last 8 years, that's how it's been. And it kind of has gotten to the point where when my children are here and when Em is here, I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to just sit and be available and not do anything that I want to do. And it really causes problems. Em wants me to do the things that I want to do because she wants her alone time. People want alone time, right? That's a thing. And I recognize that. But for me, I've got this amazing girlfriend who has the same experience, or not experience, the same interest that I have. She loves video games. She loves books. She loves serial shows. Like, we love a lot of the same things. And so I really love spending time with her. And unfortunately, that means that I love spending time with her more than I love doing anything else. And so if the option is to sit and watch her play a video game or come down here and work, I would rather watch her play video games. But the reality is, I need to come down here and do stuff. And I'm also a caretaker, right? Like, for my children, for Em, I do all the cooking. I do the vast majority of the cleaning. It's like, I just make myself available. And when my kids are here, that's it. I'm on the couch. And so coming down here to work, part of the motivation issue from yesterday, that's when I had this realization, is because my kids were here, I didn't want to just isolate them and just leave like I used to do. I wanted to just be there. But oftentimes what that leads to is we're just three people sitting on couches not paying any attention to each other because they're scrolling TikTok or talking on Discord to their friends, and I'm just sitting there waiting on them to need something. And it's very toxic, and it's not a good atmosphere for anybody. And so when Em said, I'll go help you, that was like, oh, great, you'll come down there with me, because that means that we're still together, we're still spending time together, and I'm still here for you, and I'm available for you, but you're willing to do that in my space, in this space that I'm, wanting to explore more. And I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Like, I don't know how to escape that mentality of I need to be available because I feel guilty about not being available when my children were young. I feel guilty about putting myself over them all of the time. I think that as a parent, you have to maintain yourself, meaning that it's giving in to the children 100% of the time is not the correct answer. Yes, you put your children first, but you have to maintain yourself, your own identity, your own thing. and I did that too much. And then when I got called on it, when it went to counseling, when it all started to fall apart, and I said, okay, I'll just be available all the time. I haven't escaped that yet. I haven't gotten back to wanting to do things for myself. I just want to be available because I feel guilty, and it's very difficult to deal with sometimes. Em has helped a lot. She's tried to push me away and tell me to go do something because she knows that I'm antsy and that I want to do something. But the thing is, like, just like wanting to clean this shop, I had the motivation to do it. I wanted to do it. I really wanted to. And now that I look over here and see a miter saw bench that I could just put a piece of wood on and cut without having to spend 20 minutes cleaning it, I want to keep it that way. But will I? I don't know. We'll see. If I have help, probably. Because for some reason, that means that I'm still available while I'm working on whatever it is I want to do. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Being a family person or being in a relationship can be very difficult, especially when I'm still scared. Like, I'm still terrified that I'm doing it all wrong and that it's all going to fall apart and that my kids are going to not want to come here, that Em's going to want to leave. You know, I still have very deep fear because of my past, because of what happened to my last relationship, which obviously was, 50% my fault. And I don't want to screw it up again. So I don't do any of the things. I just make myself available all of the time. And I feel like that's not the correct answer. So I'm working on it. I really, really am. I really hope to be able to get down here and do more stuff. I just have to keep up the energy and the motivation to do it. And I'm coming to the quick realization that turning the camera on is probably not helpful. I think what I need to do is do some of the stuff and not film it, because the daunting task of figuring out how to film it and figuring out how to edit it and figuring out how to upload it is just adding more on the pile. And so maybe it's a product of I just talk about it after the fact with you, and maybe someday figure out how to film it or ask for help filming. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out together. That's what we do here. I tell you that my life sucks, and then you tell me it's okay. That's not what we do. But if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe, all that good stuff. I really do appreciate everybody who comes back and leaves comments and says hi, because I've been doing this for 5 years. 5 years. We've been doing this, not quite, almost 5 years, like 4 years and 10 months. Over 1,200 episodes, for 40 views. So the people that come here and say something, and even if you only watch for 10 videos before you get bored with what I'm talking about, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being a momentary part of my life. For everybody who's here regularly, you obviously know that I care about you very, very, very much, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me. So thank you for being here, as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is egregious. It's an adjective meaning a serious mistake or offense, often with dire consequences. Pauline made the egregious mistake of asking the price of a piece of jewelry that caught her eye rather than simply asking to purchase the necklace. Egregious. E-G-R-E-G-I-O-U-S. Yeah, could you imagine asking the price of something? If you need to know, you can't afford it. Or whatever.